All right, you Mojo Vision subscribers, it's time to dust off your starter jackets, rip off those tearaways, and blow into your game cartridges. I'm Sam Blanford.
I'm Pat Sellers.
I'm Sean Kelly, and we wish it was the 90s. Off the bat, I'd like to apologise to the rest of the podcasting team for my lateness, but O'Malley just kicked the bucket on Grays and I had to wipe my tears away. I'm a late arrival to Grey's Anatomy, but Shah's been watching it quite a lot through the while she's waiting to give birth, and I'm into it.
What season is that?
5?
Yeah, I don't think I made it that far.
No,
Yeah.
I watched when when you used to watch TV, maybe 1 or 2 seasons.
Back when Friends was on once a week rather than 17 times a day.
Yeah. When you had a TV that was as deep as it was wide.
Heavy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, even like a little one, like a little bedroom TV, about 40 kilos
For a 28-inch wide screen.
Yeah, it's interesting they made them out of lead, but anyway.
On another side note, I was looking very closely at a Sony Walkman on eBay today. I don't have any tapes to play on it, but it's about, I think it worked out to be about 400 NZD.
Holy!
Is it like a classic yellow one too?
Nah, it's the blue one. I think that's the most common one, the blue one with like the orange headphones.
Mm. Oh, it came with headphones.
I had a yellow one. I remember I had a yellow Walkman, cassette Walkman.
Yeah, I don't remember having a Walkman. I definitely had a Discman.
Yeah, I had a Discman too. I had Alanis Morissette going on through my Walkman. Anyway, move on.
Yep, sorry. Whoa, what happened there? So today, episode 7 of our run-through of X-Men, the animated series. We've got No Mutant as an Island, a phenomenal episode. We've got Obsession. We've got Long Shot, Cold Comfort, and Savage Land, Savage Heart, Part 1 and Part 2.
I've watched the right episodes.
Disney made it extremely confusing.
Oh, yeah. I was really worried.
So some of this isn't Disney's fault per se, because I think we've talked about it before. There was an issue with the order of releasing and things like that. And you notice in these episodes why. Like in Savage Land, Savage Heart, there's like a throwaway line like, we couldn't get hold of the others on Muir Island, which is code for, we can't get those voice actors for this episode. And then there's also the artwork, which changes episode to episode. And did you guys notice the theme song difference?
No.
Go back when you get a chance and just watch the intro for No Mutant as an Island. And I think it's the same for the Mojo episode, Long Shot.
I think we might have just been caught out for skipping the intro.
I've got to come clean, Bob. I have not watched the intro since episode 1.
You guys aren't true believers. So the music's slightly different and the shots are different as well. It's more of a highlights reel of the episodes we've seen. And then the art. It's quite clearly the art team from the Philippines when production was moved there, as opposed to I don't know if they did the artwork in Canada or not, but I'm pretty sure that's where the voice actors. No, the art Canada, voice actors America, something like that. Vice versa, one or the other. But yeah, you can tell. Anyway, I know you guys will be really eager to deep dive on No Mutant as an Island. So let's get stuck in.
This is One Eye's episode, eh?
Yeah. I am an island. I'm a bloody Ibiza. So Beast's reading to the team. Everyone's sitting cross-legged and crying on the lawn.
At a spoken word.
This is outstanding, this part.
Professor X talking about risk. Jubilee might be onto something. Maybe she's alive.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was just Professor X getting on the front foot so that he wasn't going to get blamed for Jean dying.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
we all know the dangers of being an X-Man. Jean knew them well. You're recruiting kids to fight wars that you're also creating.
Yeah, look, let's not go down that rabbit hole. The Prof's an evil man. And then so we get Psyche, One Eye, sulking in the war room, and he has a big argument with the Prof. And what I do like about when they argue is it's like, I don't mind it when Scott blows up at the Professor about things, because no one ever really does. So I don't mind that. But the reason he's blowing up is just because of his grieving, obviously. But he says, and I'm sick of being den mother to a bunch of quibbling children. Chucks his uniform to the Professor and walks out. And we now have an answer to a question I think we had asked earlier. Does the Professor finance everything? Yes, because One Eye has to catch a bus to get out of there.
Yeah, I had that as a question. Is that confirmation? Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, he's still selling floaty chairs, I think. To Boogie.
The boogie. Pat's face. What are these guys talking about? Listen to the Final Fantasy episodes, Pat. Then we're on the bus. And little Johnny's playing Good Guys and Mutants, Mom. We get a flashback to Scott getting his powers. He's at an old orphanage. And then he turns up at the orphanage, and Sarah's there, and she's from the orphanage, and she runs it now, and there's some sort of shared history. And then we hear about this great man who is adopting lots of mutants from the orphanage. He's just a great bloke with a great name, is Zebediah Kilgrave, better known as...
Yeah, let's change his name to Jebediah. We'll go with that. Another name for the books.
What I like about his inclusion is he's not an X-Men villain. He's the Purple Man, as his code name is. He sort of floated around as like a bit of a B, maybe even a C-list villain, and then has an incredible run in the Jessica Jones comic book series. That's a little bit R-rated, because he's obviously got mind control, and it's implied he did some pretty nefarious things to her to get her to do things as a super, with superpowers or whatever, but also perhaps even more unsavory.
And he's got a purple head.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then we get another flashback, and Kid Scott's hard to adopt, laser eyes and all kind of makes sense. And then there's a big fire, and we find out that optic blast can also put fires out now.
Yeah, that didn't line up for me.
It's like throwing rocks at a fire.
Well, I would have thought it would have been the opposite.
No, because the blast that he has is concussive, right? So I assume that means it's like a force as opposed to like being a laser.
Yeah, I see.
But obviously it looks like laser. It probably was laser for a while, and then they just... Tell you what probably happened. Someone probably called them concussive blast, not knowing what concussive means. And then they had to run with it.
And then they decided that it can put out fires.
And we meet Rusty, old fire hands. Maybe,
he needs to hook up with Pyro at Bad Guy Bar.
Yeah,
he's got a future there.
Well, if he can make the fire and Pyro can control it, they could do all sorts of things. Scott takes him for a bit of a chat, bit of powers and family stuff and a bit of mentoring or whatever. And Kilgrave is bad news. I'm telling you, he's wacko. And even though Rusty is really annoying, he's probably right, because Kilgrave clearly comes across as a bad guy even when he's wearing his white person makeup, when he's doing whiteface.
I do appreciate
Um,
that he uses his powers for like professional purposes. I keep saying that the X-Men would make a great construction company. He's using his powers, to advance his political career.
he just wants a seat in office.
Play to your strength.
Coolgrave sticks Rusty in a seat. Oh, I see. He takes him back to his place, and Rusty doesn't want to go. Anyway, they get back to the house. He sticks him in this weird seat thing, and he's using all sorts of mind control. And then we see 3 other mutants strapped in. Cameos from Skids, Whiz Kid, and Boom Boom. Any guesses as to who's who? Whiz Kid's the one who can make technological things, and he's built his own wheelchair, his own sort of.
Yep.
That's his power. Boom Boom makes little tiny explosives balls that whatever. And I can't remember what Skids does. I think she's fast, maybe. Skids around,
Yeah,
so if that kid's real good at making wheelchairs, he's probably got a future in the business side of the Xavier franchise.
Yeah, he's a bit of a forge, really.
I was going to say that.
Interesting, these 3 characters are big characters. 4 characters, Rusty included, are big from the 80s X Factor, which Cyclops is heavily involved in. And only really Boom Boom has a long-lasting presence in comics when she joins Cable's X-Force. So Kilgrave has a big plan to talk to the governor to get a project going or something or other. Cyclops sees a news report and wants to get the kids back. For some reason, Sarah can't see he's obviously a villain. That's Kilgrave, that is. The kids are well controlled. Probably didn't need to attack Cyclops when he goes in. We're fine. Well, and they probably could have just run with the bluff.
Yeah.
Cyclops is nearly drowns when they attack him, and he has one of those kissing resuscitation hallucinations that happen so much in media. And they got to save the kids, and looks like Scott might be about to pesh Sarah. I was a bit confused at that point. Maybe he was having a crack, and comically,
there seemed like there was a bit of chemistry between them.
He's got a pretty bad history in the comic books when it comes to women and misbehaving.
I just hate One Eye even more. I did actually like this episode, but didn't like Cyclops any better.
For some reason, I just kept thinking, and I kept sort of zoning out, thinking about why they were letting this rich guy basically come and buy these kids to adopt them, and kept making me think of Blades of Glory. It's like he's recruiting all these kids to try and win the Olympics, but he's trying to recruit them to win the city, I guess.
My question is, so how did Rusty come to be at the orphanage in the first place?
I mean, it's not spelled out, but I assume his parents didn't want him because he's a mutant.
Yeah, but Kilgrave has had him since then.
Oh, he ran away.
He ran away from Kilgrave.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Because he's wacko.
Yeah, I just saw why would Kilgrave give Rusty up in the first place? If he needs those powers.
And so Kilgrave turns up at the orphanage and really turns things up a notch with his helicopter and his guns. And fortunately, when Scott blasts the helicopter, it crashes into an abandoned building. Scott runs in and saves WizKid. Kilgrave is seen on TV to be a bad guy and gets arrested. Don't know why he doesn't use his hypnosis powers to get out of that one. And Scott realizes he needs to help people and rejoin the X-Men. And then Cerebro finds Jean somehow. Good timing.
He had
Look,
his X-Men moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've all had it so far, apart from him. Is that right?
He's the most loyal, right? On paper, he's all about the dream and that sort of stuff, but he hasn't really had any moments, nah.
No, they've all had that moment where they're like, no, I've got to go back. The X-Men are my people.
Yeah. Meg goes to Canada, Storm goes to Kenya, Road goes off with Mystique.
Yeah.
Um,
What's his name goes to the bayou.
There's always more gators in the swamp. Beast doesn't really have it, but he has his own sort of moment in Beauty and the Beast, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. And he looks at the picture of him playing baseball as a teen.
Yeah.
That's a big moment.
Yeah. I suppose Jean hasn't really had one, but she's not really in it much except for when she's phoenixing. So yeah, I reckon that episode's all right. I found the artwork quite jarring, but
I caught one thing that I thought was confirmation that they just didn't bother getting married after Morph stitched them up, because when Sarah asks One Eye if he's been married, he says no, there was someone or something like that. They were just like, oh, too hard now. We tried to do it this once. Can't go all the way down to the courthouse and fix this.
Should have done what Meredith and McDreamy did on Grey's and write their vows on a post-it note.
Charlotte.
Anything else to say on this episode?
There's one point, and I can't remember what happened, but I thought they were very heavy-handed on the Jean Scott child. Can't remember, it was right at the start. But there was like a massive clue about their child, or Cable, or something, I can't remember.
Yeah, Scott saying something, Jean saying something about bringing a kid into this world and facing what they face or whatever. And Scott says, I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm like, I'm sure you would if you could, mate. I'm sure you'd have a child that isn't hated and feared. All right, should we jump into Obsession?
Yeah, bring on some Wazza.
Yeah, back to the normal intro and graphics. Archangel is clearly the obsessed one in the title. He's doing lots of apocalypse research, Egyptian stuff. All the writings say a couple. Can you edit that out? Apocalypse can't be destroyed. Warren's been a real jerk. And then somewhere it says something about
boss. Doesn't look like he'd be fun to work for.
Yeah. And Apocalypse apparently has a weak spot, and it's on like the back of his neck or something.
He's like the Death Star.
That's just like the Death Star. Do you know what the Death Star is, Sam?
Yeah, I have a feeling it's a Star Wars reference.
Very good.
And so there's a sighting of Apocalypse in New York Harbor, which is convenient. And Archangel finds him, and Apocalypse is looking for me, my prodigal son.
He's awesome.
Yeah, it's good to have him back. And Sykes says they obviously going to check out the sighting or something, and he says, "How do you hide? That's maybe it's on the plane or it's in the war room. How do you hide something a mile long?" Cameron goes, "Who knows? Deep pockets." And there's a mutant incident on Liberty Island, which is Liberty Island's where the third act of the first X-Men film takes place, which is quite cool. Apocalypse is as big as Lady Liberty at one point. And when they're going in for the kill, like lambs to the slaughter. But the X-Men are going all right.
Beast is so useless in fights, though.
Yeah.
He can't do anything.
He chains him up for about 5 seconds.
He can't do
Throws that
anything.
big
It's
chain
not
over
his mutant powers don't really extend to fights.
Well, he's big and strong and aerobic, right?
In a way.
And later on in this episode, he's way better at like software development.
And the X-Men are going all right, but Warren's kind of getting in the way, and Rogue's going off to save him, and the X-Men are like, "Don't! He's lost his mind. He's not worth it." Gamma goes, "He's not Warren anymore, Cher. Apocalypse Machine make him L'Ange de Mort, the Angel of Death, now and forever."
He's real
And
jealous
I had to look up what L'Ange de Mort means, and it just means the Angel of Death. So, okay. I think it's French. And in the war room studying Apocalypse movements, I noticed that the computer is programmed with Professor X's voice, but it's really computerized. It's quite interesting. And Beast talks about a mighty ship designed by creatures beyond the stars. Do you know what he's talking about, Pat?
The Death Star.
Is it the Death Star again? You're going through the Death Star.
Do you know who the creatures beyond the stars would be?
No.
He's talking about Celestials, I think.
Okay.
This little two-man secret you've got going on here.
Well, Pat knows a bit about X-Men nerd. Well, that's even like what are they called? Eternals.
Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
we're doing a 13. We're doing a 13-part podcast about X-Men. I'm sure you've got a couple of minutes to dig into some nerd culture.
Yeah, so I think we talked about the Celestials briefly. No, we talked about the Eternals. Yeah. Anyway, they're these big giant alien robots that like came to the Earth millions of years ago and experimented and created humans and mutants and blah blah blah.
Okay. No, I did not. That's what he was talking about.
And that's where Apocalypse. So Apocalypse is a mutant with some powers, but then all his other powers are because he used celestial technology to augment himself.
Wow.
Yeah. I just noticed as soon as Warren takes his hood off, his bags disappear, a la morph transition, and he's a lot more rational with his hood off. And he's got his blue skin, but he's still got his big blonde mullet and eyebrows.
Yeah, he looks way better without it.
Yeah,
great.
Gambit's definitely super jealous. And Archangel takes off or wants to fight. I can't remember what he's saying, but Meg says, "I wouldn't mind a little direct action myself."
When are they? What does the ship look like? I can't even remember.
It's just this big, massive, long thing.
Yeah, it's like a big oblong type thingy.
When does Meg say, "Cool, but I hate seeing cheese"?
I don't know, but I'm glad you wrote it down.
It's like getting a photo or something.
So the last episode, we had those 4 kids that had a lot to do with X Factor. When Apocalypse first pops up in the 80s, he fights X Factor, and X Factor is Cyclops, Jean, Iceman, Archangel, and Beast, the original 5 reunited, and they defeat Apocalypse, and the ship becomes their base for quite a while.
Do they use his weak spot on his neck?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Reading 80s comic books is pretty tedious. You think about comic books, you'd think the main thing would be the art, but they didn't work that out until like maybe the 90s because it's just so wordy, and it's like you don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to explain what we're looking at. We can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, and then I punched him in the face. There's a giant drawing of them punching him in the face.
Saying pow.
Like in the 60s and 70s, they felt the urge to, like, the first 2 pages would explain everyone's powers. Like, I'm reading this. It's issue 20. I know. It's got blasty powers.
Not so for the TV show, though.
No.
I didn't know lots about Meg for like his. Well,
Nah,
not
it's
his
quite good
powers, but
it's quite good how it's revealed that way. I think.
yeah, I like it.
And so Rogue takes off to stop Archangel. Gambit takes off too. Beast's got a plan. It turns out the ship is sentient, and the X-Men get permission to dock. But at this point, Beast is just absolutely fizzing for the ship. Like
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
so excited.
He's got like his nerd backpack on. He's on the keyboards, working everything out, having a great time.
Apocalypse has set a trap for the X-Men. They're stuck on the ship. And Archangel's plan does work on the weak spot. Ship helps the X-Men to find a way not to die, I think. Do you like it how they call it ship?
You're just going on about how Beast was fizzing for the ship, and I was reading through my notes. Beast's got a boner for the ship. So, but it's Apocalypse's ship. Is that right?
Yeah, but so he's common.
Then.
Yes. So the ship's sentient. Apocalypse has commandeered it at some point because it's an alien ship, and has programmed it to be his ship. But it still has its sentient mind or whatever, but it can't fight its programming or whatever, you know. Meg says, while they're setting a trap for Apocalypse, Meg says, building mouse traps while Rogue and Bird Boy get all the action.
I reckon Warren is creepier than Gambit. He's like, pledge yourself to me at one point.
Yeah, I had similar notes. I've got, is Warren creepier than Gambit? It's a different type of creep, but Warren is fucked.
I think his thing is like it's to do with whatever Apocalypse did to him, right?
Yeah,
but still, yeah. And just as Meg's talking about Bird Boy, Apocalypse rips a hole in ship and comes in. Beware what you wish for it may come to pass. And then he falls for the mousetrap that they set. And Apocalypse, he's just the quote him today. Beast, how many peoples have dreamed of my end? You are no closer than the Babylonians with their swords and fire sticks. Ha 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 ha.
He's so good.
And then I just got this note saying One Eye, Beast, and Wazza all together is pretty awesome because they're 3 of the 5 original X-Men. And then Apocalypse, I am the rocks of the eternal shore. Crash against me and be broken. And then fighting, scrapping, it's all going on, and Gambit catches Rogue and says, "Cher, maybe you could cut down on the fried chicken, huh?"
Bit rough.
He's obviously pretty fucked off about Archangel to start having a dig at her.
Yeah.
He's negging
Ship turns on Apocalypse because of Beast or something. Then Warren and Gambit get stuck. They get away in the nick of time, and Apocalypse gets sent into space. And you kind of think that everyone would be happy, but Archangel's just a real mad looseman. He's not happy. He's out of there. I remember watching this as a kid and being like, just praying that he was about to join the team. But he doesn't. Well, not at this point.
Yeah, he's on a different waka.
Yeah. But he could use a little bit of help from the professor, you know. Get a few mind probes
going.
The
last person that should be helping him.
And then Beast is really cut up about the ship dying or whatever it's doing. Or was it going? Did it take Apocalypse into space? I can't remember. And that's Archangel's obsession.
I thought that
good
was
episode.
Really good. I thought it was a
Yeah.
great episode, and it was actually one that I had probably the shortest amount of notes on, and the other one's probably the double header we've got coming up, but for very different reasons. As I just realised that I actually just got engrossed and watched it, and then I was like, oh, I didn't take many notes. Whoops.
Yeah,
and I was
yeah,
like,
that's
maybe I should watch it again to get notes. I was like, nah, I think I need to leave it as is.
Got to put yourself through long shot.
Maybe recency bias,
hate
but
that
Sean,
yes,
I'll ask you, who's your favourite villain so far out of Apocalypse and Magneto?
probably Magneto.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely Magneto.
I like
Apocalypsing.
From what I've seen, like Magneto's not really even a villain at this point. He's helped the X-Men more than he has than he's hurt them. Apocalypse is just awesome.
Yeah,
every single thing he says is awesome.
That's the thing, man. Every time he speaks, it's a borderline monologue. You know, like you feel like he's like on a stage talking to the audience. He's that good.
And he's just got that. Sorry, what was that, Pat?
I was just going to say he's almost as good a villain as Pyro and Earthquake.
Or Avalanche Earthquake.
Avalanche, yeah. Anyway, the two piss drinking buddies.
He's just and he's so imposing, you know, like Magneto's just a normal bloke really to look at, whereas he can grow as the size of the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, I think in terms of like out and out villainy, he's miles ahead. I think I like the nuance of Magneto being like having a motivation.
Well, yeah. So Magneto as a character.
That's probably the difference. Is who's the better character, who's the better villain? I suppose different questions.
Yeah, Magneto as a character, I think, is probably up there as one of the best for me. And I'm sure he's going to come back into it at some point. So looking forward to that.
I think if you're enjoying both Magneto and Apocalypse, when we one day finish this series, I'll send you a copy of The Age of Apocalypse. I'm sure you haven't read X-Men comics before.
Definitely not.
But we could definitely do a one-shot episode on The Age of Apocalypse. It's mid-90s, and it's like a store-wide. They stop all the X-Men comics, and someone travels in time and accidentally kills the Professor. And then when you come back to the normal time, it's the Age of Apocalypse because if Professor X hadn't been alive, and like Magneto's awesome, Apocalypse is awesome, Sinister is awesome. Meg's only got one arm.
I'm out.
No, but Meg's good. Yeah, we'll get there. Right, long shot. I didn't enjoy this. Did you guys?
Meg being the Lone Ranger.
I found it all quite funny. I like these characters for their humour. Mojo, long shot, mini arms.
It definitely feels like the next 4 episodes we cover are all a little bit of filler. But I don't mind that. But I found long shot. Yeah, I found long shit pretty tough. But anyway, let's get on it. So we get a previously on, and it's Mojo, and it's back to the weird intro that you guys skip, and back to the Filipino graphics. Meg's teaching Jubilee to drive, and I'm like, in TV and movies and stuff, people learning to drive are always like horrendously dangerous drivers. And I just remember when I was learning to drive, I'd be like going at like 15 k's an hour in a car park.
I would have loved to have seen it, like the build up to wherever they drove from, because I assume they did the car park run beforehand. I want to see Meg talking Jubilee through everything. like pretending that he wasn't fuming and like trying to keep his patience. That would have been great.
Jubilee! Put the brake on!
Just easy. I said easy. Ease off the clutch.
And so, long shot out of nowhere, and some random evil looking dudes and Spiral. And I kind of like the part where Jubilee tries to talk like Storm and summon her sparkly powers.
Yeah. You got to remember, she's quite young. She's, she'll be trying to basically copy them. Probably accurate.
And so, long shot and Jubilee take off, and Meg uses his smelling powers to track. And then there's some random alien dog things.
Shiny dogs.
Shiny dogs.
Bad doggy. No biscuit.
I've got that. Kind of look like Terminator 2 dogs.
Yeah.
I noticed the sparkly powers looked a lot different with the Filipino graphics, and I think that's where the Filipino graphics are probably superior. What are you doing here, pretty boy? And so Wolverine finds Jubes and long shit.
Don't they take him to the prof for answers?
Yeah.
Definitely the wrong person to take anyone to for answers.
Spiral's given Mojo a bit of sass, and then he pretty much
Spiral
kills
is
her.
mini arms, right? Is Spiral
Yep.
mini arms? Yeah, gotcha. Good. She comes up with a new one when instead of the classic destroy them, she starts saying cancel them. Yeah, means something else now.
Real Mojo. Yeah. I didn't think about it. I was just reveling in Mojo World being all about TV. Cancel them. But Gambit could get cancelled probably.
Yeah, we'll see.
Spyro. Yeah, so I'm like, did Mojo just kill Spyro? But no, he just made her really old. And it sort of cuts in between. But so Mojo's plan is to go to Earth to take on the X-Men for ratings. And then we're back with the X-Men and Jubilee's massively fizzing for long shit. And I find that pretty hard to watch.
Yeah.
And then Prof gets probing. And smell powers pick up Mojo. I've got the Filipino graphics pretty interesting here. At several points, this is where I noticed it, and then I noticed it a lot for the rest of the episode. Quite a lot of this episode, Rogue's breasts look like tennis balls.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's odd, man. It was once I noticed it, I was uncomfortable.
They're always pretty uncomfortable to look at for a kids' show.
Yes, yeah, certainly, but yeah. And then there's
disgusting. It's just so gross.
He gets called my bulbosity by the Pommy assistant.
I don't mind that guy.
He could be Australian. Who knows?
Yeah, we don't know.
And then there's a big battle royale, right, for the ratings, and the X-Men want to save Jubilee, and lots of stuff goes on. The X-Men win. Spiral teleports the bad guys away, and yeah, I don't have much else to say about it. I didn't really like it.
All I had was Meg is growling a lot more than usual in that episode. So Mojo's crew, are they aliens or mutants?
Aliens.
I like some of his intros to each character that he always does. Like the Beast ones. Pretty funny. Mind of a genius, buddy of a big blue gorilla.
Pat, you can keep doing Mojo, but you can't do Meg anymore after your last effort.
No good. I'll have another crack.
Look, if you give us three Sabertooths equals one Meg.
Cold comfort.
Cold comfort from Pat right now.
What was that?
Jubilee sucks.
Oh. So it opens with a couple of security lads arguing, and then Iceman freezing stuff and breaking in. The And then we're back at the mansion, and Professor is talking tech stuff, and Jubilee's being annoying. And look, the Professor says, Jubilee, you can't keep acting like an impulsive child. Yes, please. Alert, mutant activity. Robert Drake, also known as Iceman.
Enter Michael Jones.
Yeah, boy.
Unfortunately, not on Lomus. Brewer!
How many alarm clocks do you reckon Meg goes through?
Oh, I love when he slices his alarm. I hate when I do that. And he walks and says, if I don't get a good night's sleep, I'm cranky all day.
He must never sleep.
And then, so, we work out very quickly that One Eye has got a huge agenda against Iceman. And then Psyche, Beast, and Meg are off to get Iceman from the federal whatever.
Professor X is like, I'll explain in the air. Yeah, of course you will, Professor X. You always do. You never tell them the full story.
And we get to see a bit of Iceman in action. I like, he's annoying. I don't enjoy his quips or his attitude, but his ice sliding about, that's fucking mint.
Yeah.
I
like any time he's in the full ice getup.
Yeah. It's a little bit transparent as well. I quite like his actual ice. I quite like that.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, you could buy X-Men animated series figurines, and the Iceman came with a like a little blue ice sled, and you could clip his feet into it, and it had a little tray in it. And if you filled it with water and froze it, the Iceman character changed color.
Oh, really?
That's man.
Yeah, it was friggin' rad. God, I hope that's somewhere. And I used to always get chafed because the Gambit toys came with a plastic trench coat instead of like a material one. So my mum had to sew me one to put on them.
I hope you still got that. That'd be great.
And then that Iceman's actually kicking a bit of ass, and then Cyclops knocks him out with a concussive blast. And he says, "A touch of overkill there, Squinty."
That is fucking gold. I'm going to call him Squinty from now on. You missed the Meg bit before that. You come easy or I get to make cocktail ice for 100. I feel like Bobby's got Squinty's number a bit, hey? He knows how to push his buttons. Yeah.
That's like, so when they were the original five, Bobby always got a hard time for like being the Joker. He was the younger, seriously, and that obviously riled up Squinty because he's a nerd. And so they're sort of playing off that a bit here. And then he's having an argument. So they're back they take him back to the mansion, and they have an argument. And Iceman says to Scott, "I choose to think for myself rather than playing the good soldier boy." And he goes, "Oh, those fighting words." Yeah, I'm like, yeah, Iceman's a bit of a jerk here, but he hates the prof, and I understand that. And then we get these.
Jubilee looking to settle down for some alone time with him yet?
I think it's coming. There's a flashback, or maybe they're watching it on a screen or whatever, and I think it's on a screen. It's the original X-Men training or whatever. But obviously, I love that little segment. Beast is his mate, he still likes him. Having a good conversation. He's like, "Where's Lorna?" Bobby blows up, and then we get Bobby's backstory of leaving the X-Men because he wanted a normal life, and Lorna going with him, Polaris as she's known, and it's them settling down, and then she disappears. And then Jubilee sets Bobby free because she fucking sucks. and he breaks in somewhere with Jubilee, and they get taken out by X Factor.
Okay, I was going to ask if that was X Factor.
So that's 90s X Factor. So 80s X Factor's the original 5, 90s X Factor's that team.
That
And
answers
it's
my
run.
question. What is the X on their uniform?
Yeah, I was going to say that. But do they ever address the fact that they were wearing X-Men logos?
So X Factor's deal is that both in the 80s, but in the 80s it was different. They were like a private organization that hunted mutants, but actually it was the original X-Men in disguise saving mutants. And then in the 90s, X Factor is like government sanctioned. So they're like a mutant government team.
Hmm.
And Forge is like the Professor X. And their leader is Havoc. And then the other members that we meet here are Quicksilver, Strong Guy, Wolfsbane, and Multiple Man. And then obviously later Polaris, which are all 90s members. Interesting facts for you, Sam. Quicksilver is the son of Magneto,
Wow.
and Polaris is the daughter of Magneto.
Do they know that?
Maybe not. Quicksilver, I think, does. I don't know if Polaris does.
Those are such cool names, Quicksilver and Polaris. But then there's Strong Man. And what was the other one you said?
Strong guy.
Strong guy. So that's a good
even
name.
worse.
Yeah.
Strong guy.
Hey,
What was the
real
other one?
name? Real name Guido.
There's another real bad one. What was the other one?
Wolfsbane.
Nah, he was good.
Havoc, Forge, Multiple Man.
She.
Multiple
Man.
Yeah, probably Multiple Man.
That's
Jamie
terrible.
Madrox.
Strong guy and Multiple Man.
He was the one that could make multiple men. If you didn't know which one he was.
Did you like his sort of like weird sort of, hey, how's it going accent?
Yeah, I was just taken by young Forge.
And yeah, you would have been rapt to see young Forge.
Well, I didn't even realize it was him until someone said his name.
Oh, yeah. And when Wolverine has a crack at Multiple Man and he pops into 2, what's this? A 2-for-1 sale? And so they have a big fight, and X Factor have got the run of the X-Men, and Prof says they know how you fight, change your adversaries, and it's a stalemate, and Forge calls an end. And what you guys probably didn't care to notice is that Havoc and Cyclops' powers didn't work on each other.
I didn't see that.
And that's because they're brothers.
Shit, it's all coming out.
So yeah, and they don't know this at that point, clearly.
Shit, I would love to see Scott's family tree.
No, you wouldn't, man. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, there's some good family trees online of it. It's just all over the show.
It's nuts. So it's a federal mutant team run by Forge, and then we find out Polaris ditched Bobby to join X Factor, and also fall in love with Havoc. Glad he didn't find out that Havoc was Cyclops' brother, because that would have probably really buried him. And X-Men and X Factor part ways. Another thing when I was a child, I was like, Iceman, join the X-Men, but he doesn't want to. And that's the end of that episode.
But now I suppose X Factor's cooler. He should stay with them.
Wow, he just goes. Does he go back to being an accountant?
Yeah, Bobby the certified accountant doesn't have the same ring to it as Iceman.
I like that episode.
Like they'd so clearly trained to fight the X-Men.
I guess if they're a federal team, part of it's like if the X-Men go rogue, or
that's obviously what they've done.
And then Forge says something along the lines of, I must admit, I thought it would be a really good training exercise to see how my team stacked up against the X-Men.
Yeah.
But yeah. So So Polaris and Iceman dated in the original X-Men. So the original 5 X-Men, and then there's a few comers and goers, and then Havoc and Polaris join the team, and it's like a 7-person team for quite a while before the big giant size revamp with your Storms and your Banshees and your Megs and your Colossus and Nightcrawlers and the likes. So it's quite, and she does ditch him for Havoc in the comics as well.
Jesus.
So anyway, I mean, he's, whether you say it's retconned or not, he's gay, but he wasn't for like 40 years of publishing.
Havoc.
No, Iceman.
Oh, real?
But there's, especially like 90s, if you look at it and you know that, you've got to wonder if writers wanted him to be gay and weren't allowed to, because there was a comic code authority that would stop stuff like that. So lots of revelers of X-Men got really mad with the Iceman's gay retcon. But if you look at it, I think you can go back as far as the 80s and be like, these seeds have been sown enough that this isn't that jarring.
Yeah.
And even if you go back to the 60s, it's not gay, but he's quite camp. So you can see why he's been drawn in that. Well, he's been made to in that way now. I think it's awesome because it makes him way more interesting.
Yeah.
That he, his X-Men career, he hid it for so long because that happens to people. Anyway, Savage Land, Savage Hearts, Savage Heart. What a fuck! When we watched the other Savage Land episodes, like we had the Prof and Magneto going
Like
through the Savage Land.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, I liked it. And even those last 2 episodes or last episode or whatever it was with Mr. Sinister, I like that episode, all those episodes. These fucking suck.
Yeah. Oh, so I was looking forward to these. And then I was just like, it's just doing the exact opposite to what was my favorite one where I actually didn't have that many quotes because I got launched into it. Like Obsession. I was right into. Cold Comfort probably the same. I had very few notes on them because I just ended up just getting engrossed into them, watching them. I've got very few notes on this two-parter because I zoned out and potentially fell asleep at some point.
Let's whip through it.
Yeah, I do. So when we watched those other episodes, I was like pleasantly surprised. I was like, "Oh, the Savage Land's all right," because I remember as a child hating Savage Land-based episodes, and this is why. Now I remember why. Anyway, so there's no previously. It opens with Sauron fighting some locals with catapults, men riding pterodactyls. It's all Savage Land stuff.
Oh, did you catch right at the start of the first one? They had New York Comic Con was on.
I think I did. I've got that in my notes. I think that's wouldn't it? I don't know. Yeah, I wrote that. Oh yeah, it's after the Savage Land stuff.
Yeah, all right.
All this. I love when the men on pterodactyls fly past and above the Savage Land locals, and they just wave their fists in the air in anger. And so we got Kazar. He's around. It looks like it's a rescue mission or something. Sauron's battling. He's clearly having some health issues. Kazar gets a blast from some random lady who clearly has magic powers or something. Her name's Zeladine. So Rogue and Storm riding those horses. Rogue's got like a cowgirl outfit on, and Storm's wearing like horse riding chaps or something. I don't know. And there's a little bit of what do you call it? Foreshadowing when Rogue tells Storm she's just got to let loose sometimes. Then Beast, Meg, and Jubilee are at a museum, and they walk outside, and Meg and Jubilee hated it. And Beast is talking about something, but all I could notice is that he couldn't fold the pamphlet back together. And it just so happens that Sauron bumps into Meg and absorbs Meg and turns into Sauron, and Beast alerts everyone, and Rogue and Storm see him. And Rogue says, "Must have taken a wrong turn at Albuquerque," or something like that. This wasn't my best Rogue. Sauron takes off with Storm. Some of the team are away at Muir Island. I think maybe they're looking for Jean or something. But really, voice actor break. Back on the Savage Land, Sauron unleashes Storm somehow, and she goes Super Saiyan, but not in a good way. And back with the X-Men, I noticed Meg's running leader on this one, and
awesome.
Sam must be reveling.
It's a good crew. I feel like Beast's in a lot more episodes lately.
Yes, well, as we talked about this, so season 1, he wasn't supposed to be a regular character, and the popularity.
He's in jail most of the time, isn't he?
Yeah. So they get to the Savage Land, and Rogue says, "I'll take a look-see," and flies off. And then Meg says, "I'll take a smell-see."
Meg just honestly pulls out one great quote every episode.
And then they have a dinosaur battle, and Kazar saves them. And the Sabertooth turns up and scares Jubilee, and Meg tackles it, and it's just sitting there patting it. Old mates. I quite like that. And then Savage Land yarns go on, and Jubilee's got a new costume that makes me uncomfortable. And then they get attacked, and Meg asks Beast for a fastball special, which I think we've talked about before.
Yeah, the throw
with Colossus.
Yeah,
the big throw, which is mint. And Jubilee beats a weakened Sauron. He turns back into Carl. To be continued. Disappointment. See that to be continued.
It was a good quick episode.
Yeah, it's a tough. Yeah, we all in agreement. Savage Land honks. Storm's lost the plot.
But you would have thought, like, at least as kids, you would have thought, like, I can't remember if I liked the Savage Land episodes, but it's got X-Men and dinosaurs. Should be an easy sell.
The thing that doesn't get me is Garrock. We're bowing down to just a large talking rock now.
Oh yeah, it's almost it's bordering on something inappropriate.
Yeah.
I do quite like it when Jubilee calls herself Jubilee of the Jungle. And they there's a big stampede, and they get out of the way, and Meg says, "Boy, that rush hour traffic's murderous, isn't it?" Shit, my notes are running light. Lycos saves Storm by absorbing whatever's going on inside her, but that turns him back into Sauron. At this point, I worked out Sauron's powers. He's like a vampire, and if he absorbs a human, he lives. If he absorbs a mutant, he turns into Sauron. Cool.
Patting my
Guess so.
absolute silence
Sure.
to tell you how much we like these episodes.
Storm wakes up pretty rocked, and then we get this Garrock flashback, and he was blah, 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 and some sort of rock thing. The only thing I enjoyed about...
Yeah, I think that was about the time that I nodded off when I was watching these, and I feel like I'm nodding off.
I watched this at like 7:30, and I was like, I'd rather be watching Grey's Anatomy with my wife. The only thing I liked about Garrick's little flashback was the cameo of the person or being that stopped him from taking over. Was the High Evolutionary, who's an X-Men Avengers villain from the comics.
I can't remember. He was asleep.
He is now.
Wake me up when we're over.
So that was cool, but yeah, Garrock sucks. And then Garrock gets awakened because he's sucking power out of... There's like weird machines underneath the Savage Land. I don't know. Maybe that's to do with the High Evolutionary, or maybe it's to do with Magneto. I don't know. Anyway, Garrock sucks. But then Garrock and Sauron have a massive kaiju battle. And you know what would have made this episode watchable? If they did that battle in actual, like, 90s kaiju costumes. I would have probably liked this a lot better. I don't really know what happened, but Garrock lost and Sauron is Lycos again.
And there was lots of
And-
Meg yelling, "Rogue! Storm!" over and over.
And thus concludes Savage Land, Savage Shit double episode.
I think that would have been a better two stretch episode with the Sauron from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Maybe that was the issue. Or it was that there was that other villain that was the Easter Island head. Yeah, I liked the horse riding. I liked Meg patting the big cat, and that was about it.
Yep.
I liked it when Storm rode off on her horse and had her hat waving in the air like she thought she was meant to because she was on a horse. Like seeing like a statue of someone at a rodeo doing it or something.
It's an interesting day. Like the first 4 episodes are pretty good. Obviously, I didn't necessarily like Mojo long shit as much as you guys, but I certainly liked it a lot more than these last 2. But it is interesting because we've got through the Phoenix saga, and at the end of the first episode of this one, you get the Jean's alive, which would have been so confusing for people when these were released, and that was released after the Dark Phoenix. But then you get they drag it out, they make you wait, and it's worth it for the most part. Like Obsession's good, Long Shot's all right, Cold Comfort's good.
Yeah,
Savage Land.
I like those like self-contained sort of about the side characters episodes. And yeah, I did not enjoy the Savage Land, and I thought it was going to be the opposite when I saw that like list of the episodes we're doing.
I thought Magneto might be back.
He'll be back.
Yeah, when is Magneto back? Yeah, it's yeah. I'm still into it, but the Savage Land eps hurt me a bit. What were you saying, Sam?
We need some big episodes to get motivation back up.
Well, we've got the 4 of the biggest.
Yeah, where do we go next?
We've got Dark Phoenix Saga 1 to 4, a full special Dark Phoenix episode.
Oh yeah.
And there's lots to look forward to. Things that Sam doesn't know are coming. Hellfire. A battle on the moon. I can't remember what else happens.
Battle on the moon. You know my feelings about space.
Yes, but it's close to
I forgot you hate space. That's one of the best revelations of this pod.
Is it near the Death Star?
do you subscribe to the Chris Tate theory of space thinking? I remember going to work last year, and I'd been watching a documentary on the sun and all the things that how it works and whatever goes on with the sun. And I was like fizzing for it. I was like, bro, I was watching. She's like, "Do you believe that?" I'm like, well, it was it was a science documentary. She's like, "Yeah, but no one's been to the sun, mate. No one's been that far into space. They're just guessing."
I don't subscribe to his. I'm fascinated by real life space, but I'm not a fan of anything space related in regards to like TV or books or movies,
like sci-fi.
or anything like that.
So you like all the science of space, but you don't want to hear a storyline through that thing that you're interested in.
Well, generally it's fiction is what like the space that I'm fascinated by is how we fucking don't know where it ends. It's nothing to do with like spaceships and aliens.
What about like did you know space related sort of movies that you enjoy? Like Arrival or
None.
no, Interstellar? Nothing.
I've heard Interstellar's
Martian?
good. Martian, fuck, don't get me started.
Bad game on.
The way he got back, like the ridiculous way he got back onto Earth or back onto the bloody path that he was supposed to be on. I think I walked out then.
Are you saying when we do our Armageddon episode, you're not going to revel about a bunch of oil drillers being sent into space to destroy an asteroid?
They were our only option.
All right, I think we're done.
Who are you going to send? Astronauts? Idiot.
Hold the phone. We need to talk about our bloody get us on Instagram, WIWT90S, or on the Twitter sphere. We've also got a Facebook group that might start getting some traction shortly because we're going to launch our Jonah Lomu's tournament via that. But also, you know, we're listening, we're playing everywhere on Walkmans. You can get us on, I mean, obviously you're already listening, but you know, if you want to change it up, we got Spotify, we got YouTube, we got iHeartRadio, we got Apple Podcasts, we got Podbean, probably our main provider. We should shout out to them. They're doing us a lot of favors.
You can head down to Tower Music, pick us up on a cassette.
Yeah, you know, give us a rating, give us a comment, 5 stars, whatever. Feedback's good. You know, we're pretty keen to monetize this thing, so help us out.
We'd like for someone other than Ruben to listen to us.
Yeah, I checked our views today. We've had over 400 views on YouTube, and the only people commenting are me and Ruben.
Shout out to Rubes.
Right.
And anyone else listening, we are willing to sell out for anything, so keep that in mind.
Yeah. Sam will go back and edit all of our episodes if Disney wants to get on board.
It's not happening.
All right, you ready, Pat?
This absolute clusterfuck of the ordering. It took me as long as watching the Savage Land episodes to actually find where they were. Anyway, I'm ready.
Mission accomplished, buddy.
Let's go home.